Maycie the Science Gal.
Maycie the Science Gal.
Maycie, 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 Maycie. Ecology is the study of ecosystems. Science rules. T-minus 5 seconds.
Maycie the Science Gal.
The heart represents one of the most important organs in the entire body. It makes up the cardiovascular system and helps transport blood throughout the entire body. Nutrients such as glucose and amino acids are created and help transport nutrients throughout the entire, you guessed it, body. Waste is also removed as it is generated. Most animals have a circulatory system, and within that circulatory system consists two main fluids, blood and hemolymph. Blood is always contained within blood vessels, and hemolymph always flows throughout a blood cavity. Hemolymph is also a mixture of blood and tissue fluid. Within this snail, for example, hemolymph flows throughout the body cavity instead of the blood vessels. All vertebrates have a closed cardiovascular system. It consists of a heart, the atrium, blood, and a series of vessels. There are three types of vessels, such as the arteries, capillaries, and veins. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, carry blood to the heart. And there's the capillaries. They just exchange material in between the arteries and the veins. The heart is a strong muscle about the size of your fist. It's located between the lungs, but behind the sternum. The major tissue within the heart is called the myocardium and consists of a large majority of cardiovascular tissue. Let's see how blood flows throughout the body. Specifically, the heart. It starts in the superior vena cava and then goes to the inferior vena cava. Eventually, it enters the right atrium and sends blood through the atrioventricular valve. It then enters the right ventricle and sends blood through the pulmonary semilunar valve. Then the blood goes throughout your entire body and eventually makes its way back by the left atrium and the left ventricle. The heartbeat is a very unique characteristic that all humans or organisms that have a heart in their cardiovascular system consist of. The average human heartbeat beats 70 times in a minute, or 2.5 billion times in a lifetime. When the heart beats or contracts, the term systole is used for the contraction and the term diastole is used for the relaxation of the heart. Many people think that the heart is just some simple organ, but actually there are three main parts within the bloodstream in the cardiovascular system that have to do with how we live our everyday lives. Let's go take a look. This here is Miss Red Blood Cell. Red blood cells are biconcave discs that lack a nucleus, are very small, and contain the pigment hemoglobin. Now, how does this differ than white blood cells? The white blood cell differs from the red blood cells in that they are usually larger and have a nucleus, and they lack the hemoglobin staining. Without the staining, they appear translucent and are often. Lastly, we have the cool platelets. They result from fragmentation of certain large cells called megakaryocytes in the red bone marrow. Platelets are produced at a rate of 200 billion times a day. Platelets can also be donated through blood drives. In fact, what kind of blood types are there? Many early blood transfusions result in an illness and even death of some recipients. Eventually, it was discovered that blood types can be transferred. In the ABO system, the presence or absence of type A and B antigens on red blood cells determines a person's blood type. The blood types consist of A positive or negative, B positive or negative, AB positive or negative, or O positive or negative. Donating blood can save a life, so I encourage every one of you to go and donate your blood today. Now we know how blood circulates throughout the body. Where does the oxygen come from, and is there a system for that?
The respiration system relates to the cardiovascular system by allowing enough oxygen to move throughout the body. The important system includes the major events including ventilation, external respiration, and internal respiration.
Animals can either have gills or lungs. Animals with gills use various means of ventilation. The action of specialized appendages located near the mouth keeps the water moving. In fish, ventilation is brought about by the combined action of the mouth and gill covers. Water passes out of the pharynx and over the finely divided gills. Fish use a countercurrent exchange to transfer oxygen from the surrounding water and into their blood. Concurrent flow would mean that oxygen-rich water passes over the gills and flows in the same direction as oxygen-poor blood, which differs from the lungs. Humans have lungs, and during breathing, the lungs are ventilated. Oxygen moves into the blood, and carbon dioxide moves out of the blood and into the lungs. Terrestrial vertebrates ventilate their lungs by moving air into and out of the respiratory tract. Inspiration is the act of moving air into the lungs, and expiration is the act of moving air out of the lungs. Additionally, the diaphragm is a horizontal muscle that divides the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity and helps with the inspiration and expiration of the lungs.
Now here in South Dakota, it's a bit hard to find a bug in the middle of the winter, or early spring, which is technically still winter, so I'm going to use the cartoon version.
Many insects overcome the inefficiency of their blood flow by having a respiratory system that consists of a trachea. Tiny air tubes that take oxygen directly to the cells are referred to as a trachea within the insect. The trachea have a single layer of cells supported by spiral thickenings of chitin. Now, within this ladybug is nothing but something real sweet. In fact, turns out my dad keeps all of the candy in here. And with that note, I'm signing out.
Maycie the Science Gal.